Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to make a class. The very first thing that comes to our mind is a class in a school, but we are not going to make a class in a school that is basically consist of students and teachers. We are going to make a class in Java. Please like and subscribe my channel Technomintra. So today we are going to learn about classes in Java. We are already aware that classes in Java basically consist of objects, or I can say till now we have learned about a class in which there is a main method and we write everything. But now we have to make a special class in which we will be making the objects, we will be declaring the variables, we will be calling the methods, and we will be even calling the variables. But by listening to all these things, you will be, oh my god, what is happening? So let's begin with a class in Java. A class is a template of an object. That means a class is basically an instance, or a class is a collection of objects. And if I consider about a real world example, so I can just say a class is basically a collection of objects. If I talk about the real world things, if example I am sitting in a room and I think about what are the things over here, so I will think that in my room there is a chair, there is a table, there is a door, there is a window. And if I think about those in the terms of wood, these all are made up of wood. But if I categorize further, that the chair and table, they are basically made for sitting, or if a bed is there that is even made up of wood, is made for lying down or sitting down. So if I want to group these things together, I can group them in one particular class, and that particular class is basically a collection of these objects. And what are the objects over here? That is chair, table and a bed. And the class name, we can make it as furniture. I give you one more example. We want to make a notes in our notebook. So what are the things we require? We require a pen, a pencil, a notebook, even an eraser or a scale. If I group these things together, it will make a class. All these were individual objects, but if I group them together, they will make a class, and I can name that class as stationery. So basically a class create the objects and use the methods for basically communicating between the objects. If I see over here, a syntax of a class has been shown. How do we write a class? A class name, brackets are opening, type, that is data type, the variable name, you can name it anything, again type int, a method name followed by the parameter list, and for the method brackets will open and bracket will close and the main class will close. Let me show you one example. Over here I have made a class X. Over here X is a class name, so it is starting with a capital. You can see the data type is int A, int B, and I wrote over here something as static and then data type and C. So what are the difference between these two and the last one? Basically when I wrote int A and int B, those are known as instance object. That means a object or is a instance of a class. That means at that particular time, that is a particular instance. For example, if I again talk back in the objects and classes, table is an instance of class furniture. So these are the instance object. When I am talking about this line static float C, a static is a class variable. That means this C is a class variable. Now what are class variables and static variable? Starting with the class variable, class variables are the static variable. They are declared once when your class is declared, and all the objects of the class share the same data type, and they are started at the program execution, and they destroy also. If we want to access them, we don't need to make an object. We can directly call the class and we can access the variable name or the basically variable over here. Now instant, they are non-static because before them static is not returned, and these are created for FG object, so we have to call them through the objects. They can be accessed through an object. and these variables are created when an object of a class is created and destroyed also when an object is destroyed. Now moving on to object. How do we create an object? Now object is basically an instance of a class that I already told you. At that particular moment, what is the object you are using? Now how to declare an object variable? You will write down class name, object name. So class name over here is furniture and the object name is table, right? Now in order to create an object, this is declaration, right? In order to create, how we will write down? We will write down, sorry, it has to be class name over here and then object name. So class name, object name equal to new class name. So new over here is something new we are learning, right? So new is a keyword over here that is basically used for creating an object. So I write down furniture. So furniture is the name of a class. Table is a object name equal to new and furniture. I hope this is clear till now. How do we declare the classes and how do we declare the objects? Now how to assess the variable name? This is the very important thing. So over here, for example, I created a class box. I wrote a variable int. This is type variable name. Now I am creating an object, that is object name is my box. This is the class name, object name equal to new box. This is again class name. Now when we have to assess anything, how do we write down? We will write down object name dot variable name or object name dot method name. So dot is a dot operator that is basically used for assessing the variable name or the object variable name or the method name. So over here I have shown one example, my box dot width. So my box is the object name and width is a variable name. You can see over here these two things. Now moving on to the methods. Now methods are basically a sequence of statements that are executable. They are basically a block of statements. They are basically have some particular tasks for operation to perform. Their main purpose is reusability. You can write down it in the main class and they are used for calling. You can write down in the class that you will make now. In that you will declare the definition, and for using it you have to, in the main class you have to call it. So basically the purpose of this is you can write down method once and use it as many as times you want, and we do not require to write down the code again and again. So how do we declare a method? I have shown you the syntax over here. This is assert specifiers, modifiers, return type, function name and parameter list. Assert specifiers can be any type. Slowly we'll be learning about these in the next video. It can be public, private and protected. For now you need to learn this much only. Modifiers, it can be native, final, synchronized, static. Return data type, again it is a type of data the method will be returning the value. Then function name, for example, if I have to calculate the sum of two numbers, so function name I can name it as sum. It will start with a small letter. And parameter list over here is what are the two or what are the number of parameters you require. For example, for addition I am taking only two numbers, 2 and 3. So I just write down this as for x and y. So over here public is a specifier, modifier is optional, you don't need to write down. So int is a data type. Now how you will find out this int, I will tell. Now sum, so over here I am declaring two variables x and y, and both of them has a data type as int. So when you are adding two ints, obviously the answer will also come in the form of integer. So over here if you see, if I add int and int, answer will be int, right? Moving on to the types of method. Basically in Java already there are Java libraries, okay? In that some methods are already defined. So there is a class known as maths. In that already there are methods for doing the calculation part, okay? So over here the methods are of two types. One is predefined, that I am telling you that maths class is there, but only thing is you need to mention that in your code. So they are already defined. If you see over here, length, equal, compare to, sqrt and many more. So I write down over here a class, then public static void main, and in the main class only I can directly call maths.sqrt and 2 and 3. So you are doing the square root of the numbers, okay? So these are predefined. This maths is a class. If you see, it's starting with a capital, and method name is small. That means we are writing with a small letter. Now the second type of method is user defined. User defined means you are going to define according to your requirement. Okay, so these are user defined method. I have shown you one example of calculating the addition. So over here, this is the main class. Okay, so in this, what I am doing, I want to do the addition of two numbers. So those addition numbers will be p equal to 9 and q equal to 6. I have declared the value. Over here you can see something, r is equal to add, p and q is written. This add is a method name. Okay, and this method we have to write down up. We are not doing any calculation in the main method. For that you have to do all the calculation over here. So what I have done, a public, this is modifier, int is a return data type, add is a method name, int x and y. So this x and y, we are writing bracket int c. So in c we are going to store the sum of x and y. So we'll write down c is equal to x plus y and will return c. Whenever you are writing the method, you have to return the value. Why we have to return the value? Because you have to store the value as well as we have to come to the main method. So when this line will come, while executing, this line will come, so the code will go up. It will start executing this. So over here x and y value will become 9 and 6. So c is equal to x, c equal to 9 plus 6. So when you add 9 plus 6, it will become 15. So over in c, 15 will store. So it will return c. As soon as this line will come, your code will come to this line. So it will say system.out.println, the sum of p and q is 15. Now brackets will close for this as well as the main class. Now one more thing, over here I have written something as formal parameter. When you are defining user method, there are two type of parameter. One is user defined and another is predefined, actual parameters and formal parameter. So formal means those that you are defining inside the class, that is x and y. And actual are 9 and 6. 9 and 6 means that are there in the main class you are writing. That means main inside the public static void main. But these p is referring to x and this q is referring to y. That's why these are known as formal parameter. Okay. Now we will be writing one code in Java. Okay. In Netbeans I will just show you. Okay, so over here I have opened the Netbeans ID, and this particular ID will be working upon a rectangle class in which we will be calculating the area of a rectangle, as well as we will be taking the input from the input, not exactly input, we will be taking the method, we will be making a method in which we will be getting the data of length and width, right? So over here you can see already a class is there. So in this particular class, what we will be doing is we will be making a because for calculating the area you will be needing a variable in which you will store the area. So I just made a variable, and now what we have to do is we have to make a class over here. So how will you do? We make a class C will be small. Okay, so I just make a class rectangle, right? So after making the class, I will be declaring two variables, dot length and width, right? So these two are instance variables. Okay, now I will be declaring a method in which I will get the data x and y. That means I will be storing the data of length and width. Okay, so I just write down void get data, right? So int x comma int y, right? So I will be closing the brackets. Now I will open the brackets for the method definition. So over here the length value, the length will store the x value and the width will store the y value. This much only we have to do it in the void method, the get data method. Now we'll be making one more method in which what we will do is we will calculate the area. Okay, so we'll be making one more method. So over here I just write down int rect. You can write down anything, it doesn't matter. Okay, so area now int area equal to alien, right? So I just write down that int area equal to length into width. Then I have told you that you have to return the value. So the return value is return area. So I just declare two methods in this class, nothing else what I have done. Okay, now we will move back to the our main class. So over here I called int area. After that I have to call these two methods. Okay, so for that I have to make an object. Okay, so object of the class that is made up. Okay, so rectangle, maybe I just store rect. Okay, so equals to new rectangle, right? So I just over here I have just made a object. Okay, now through this object I will be calling the get data as well as that. So rect is my object name dot method name. So method name is get data. So over there we have to pass the value. So for example I am taking 12 comma 10. Now same for the area, but we have to store that area somewhere. So we have already used a variable, so I will call that like this. So rect dot rect area. You can see it's already coming. So you can just right click and yes. Now what we will do, system dot out, we have to print the value somewhere, right? So let me just explain this code once again. Over here, this is our main class and we will do all the calling of the methods or the variables. Over here in the rectangle class, I just made a get data method to get the data, and rect area I have just done the calculation work. When we and over here I just made a rectangle object rect, and over here I am just calling those methods by the object name dot get data. So once it will go here, it will return the value and come to the last line. It will say system.out.println and area will be printed on the screen. Let me just run you and show you this. So see, the area is 120 is printed on the screen. So this is the way in this particular tutorial or this particular video I just made class, the object and the methods concept, and I made a class and showed you how you can access the objects and variables inside it. So I hope you like my video.